Now that the concrete has dried on our leaf casting project that we started last week, today we'll show you how to transform it into a beautiful piece of art.
Okay, so here I have one that I did the other day, so we're going to go ahead and reveal it.
Okay.
There we go. And it's a nice big
grew.
one. It grew. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down here underneath out of the way.
Okay.
So now, these are very tricky. So to lift it up, usually you have to leave a spot open here. You can get your hand under.
Okay.
I didn't do that. So I got to find a way to do it. But luckily my sides are pretty thick, so I'm just going to pick up like this.
Am I holding the plastic down or?
Flip it over.
Wow. It's already painted.
It's already painted. There you go. So now I just set it right down. So now I pull it out. Now this one is to replace my fountain in the back.
Oh, okay.
So it's already here. This is going to be removed so that the water drains through there.
So you put in a spillway, and then this is where you...
That's where my hose is going to be.
You went ahead and put the faucet sort of plug there.
And I'll have that silicone because it's a little loose. But,
okay.
So now, to peel it out.
Okay, this is the leaf we're looking at, so we've got to
leaf.
take this leaf off.
Yep, we're just going to start pulling away at it. And we'll get that later. And this one came out rather nice. So now,
So in some of the crevices that might get stuck in there,
we have picks.
oh, okay.
So now I get
Just
to
like your dentist.
use my little picks to get in there and get any of these little pieces left in there. Break that off. I'll use my grinder to make sure I get it out and reveal my spillway.
Okay. So that's the lip, the water will flow over the top of that and under the leaf.
And then of course I'm going to do something a little different with this one. I'm actually going to seal it with enamel, or acrylic I mean. Going to have the whole thing sealed with acrylic so that it'll never lose its color once I paint it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If I paint it at all.
So you had talked about the edges. If the concrete goes over the edges a little bit, what to do in that situation?
Yes. So the next stage is to start cleaning up your edges. Now, what I like to do is I like to use a grinder. A grinder is very loud and messy. So make sure that you're wearing your mask and your glasses so that you don't get anything. Safety first. But you want to just slightly trim around the edges, just enough to where you get to the edge of your leaf and make it nice and clean and smooth. Once you do that, I like to take a little sanding block and just kind of hit the edge of it a little bit just to kind of clean it up and finish it off. Now, if you don't have a grinder, you can use a Dremel, but my recommendation is don't go past the edge of the leaf when you're setting your concrete. Just go right up to it, but not quite to the edge. That way you don't have any grinding to do.
So it's starting to look more like a leaf now.
Absolutely, just a little smaller.
Okay.
But this is actually one that we already had finished.
Right.
Now what I've done is I've gone ahead and sprayed it with crystal clear enamel.
Okay.
That gives me a nice solid base, and it basically seals the concrete for me as well.
All right. So the color we have in there is from the tint.
That's from the tint.
Okay.
This is that buff coloring.
Okay.
Okay. So now what I would do is I would start selecting colors that I want to paint it and decide what I want to do with it. Now I could go through and paint each little seam here and add a little color to it like I have some of those over there, or I could just leave the seams the color they are and go for a fall motif.
Okay.
So
this is where you let your artist take over, right?
Exactly. And really what I like to do is I like to just dry brush in layers.
Okay.
So I will just take a little bit of yellow and start with and go around my edges and just start kind of lightly going through it, hitting it here and there, and letting it paint just kind of hit, especially on the edge, because I want the edge to kind of glow a little bit. But I just found that if you just start playing, you can create something really interesting.
Okay.
And that's really just how I kind of got into it. I just started playing and seeing what happens if I do this and what happens if I do that. And I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, so that helps. Now that that's done, I'll just go ahead and hit it. Now, usually you want to wear a mask and everything, but we're outside.
Right.
I'll
So
have you
I'll
come
just
around
step
the
back
other
a
way,
little bit
and I'll just give it a quick spray. Just enough to seal in the color that I put on there.
And then you'll be able to go on with your
And
next
then I'll
layer.
go on with another layer and another layer and another layer until it finally gets over here to these.
I mean, these are amazing. They're so beautiful.
Now, it's strictly up to you what you do. For instance, this here was a hydrangea leaf.
Okay.
Okay. And I just had extra concrete, so I decided to use it up. So I brought out a little hydrangea leaf, gave it a little lift, and after I got it done, I painted it in fall color.
Now, how did you get the tooth and the serration on the margins? Was that with the
That's
grinder
with
and the
the
Dremel?
grinder
Okay, so
and
that gives you a
Dremel.
little more detail.
Right. So this one here obviously is much thinner, so I was able to use a little more of a Dremel tool to it.
Okay.
And I actually was able to cut in to the leaf a tad bit more.
Okay.
And give it a little more of that character, that
right.
leaf shape.
And this bowl is beautiful here. What is this leaf?
Now these are eggplant leaves.
Oh.
So just something different I decided to try. I had a bowl, I then built up sand all the way around it and laid my leaves out, glued them together to where they were on there and they wouldn't move, and then I started filling in the concrete. Of course, you build everything upside down.
Okay.
So when you don't know what you have, until you flip it over, that's why one's missing.
That's the surprise. Well, I wouldn't have known. I thought it was supposed to be a triangle
But
like
actually,
that.
my wife likes it because a little champagne glass with a little sauce,
Yeah.
you know, or some cheddar, set it right there and put some chips in, and you got yourself a nice little chip bowl.
Perfect. Well, Ken, thank you so much for sharing this idea and a way of preserving our garden.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.